Hello again, welcome to MasterCAM course. I'm gonna keep going to create my toolpath for that product actually. So, as you remember, we are creating some face toolpath and contour toolpath. And after that, actually, when I'm looking at my product, my design actually, that's quite important. If it is possible, I prefer to use the 2D toolpath. Actually, it is also quite easy for me to use actually and selecting all that part and create some roughing process. But actually, most of the time, I prefer to use the 2D pocket toolpath. And the 2D pocket toolpath and is actually and better than and 3-axis roughing process. So that's why I prefer to use the 2D toolpath. Okay, so let me turn here. So I'm gonna click on the wireframe and curve on the edges options. Of course, and before that we need to organize our and the Z position. My Z position can be 10. Okay. After that, let me hit curve on the edge options, and then we can select our faces, and then hit end selection button. Oops. Okay, it doesn't work because and this is actually splitted part, so that's why. Okay, anyway, let me delete this one and this one, and after that actually we can turn to here and we can turn to the auto selection, and then we can select this part, and then we can use right mouse button and then hit level options, and they use active level options, non-active, and then I can write here 2. And then maybe we should write here model 1. Okay, this is my model 1. And after that, we can turn to the level and we can and reactive or unselect this part. Anyway, I don't understand that. Anyway, let's turn to here and level options, select this one. So this is level 2. So when I am turned to level options, we're gonna see the two entities here. Okay, so there is some problem here, but I don't understand that stuff. Anyway, and we can also handle that stuff. Don't worry. We can turn to the transform and translate, and then we can select this part and hit enter button, and then we can write 100 or maybe 300 movement options here, and then we can hit OK button. You know that we can create our and solution. You're gonna see that that is actually face. So this part is solid and this part is face, I think. So anyway, let me select this part and use right mouse button and hit the level options, and then we can select as a 3. After that, let me turn to here. Yeah, we can easily be able to split that part and that part. So let me write model 2 here, and then we can turn to the toolpath pages again. This is the level pages and this is the toolpath pages. Anyway, let me turn to the transform and translate and select this solid model again, and then we can write -100 and -300. And then we can also use right mouse button and clear color options. Okay, it's done. Let me turn to the level and reactive and reselect model 1, and then this is the model 2 is selected right now. So after that, we can easily create our curve. So wireframe and curve on edge options, and then we can select our curve like this. Or actually, that is can be time consuming. I can delete this one. We can turn to the top view and we can select curve all edges, and then we can get our window and hit the OK button. And then we're gonna see that kind of solution can be created. After that, we can turn to the chain options and we can easily delete this one and this one, or this one. Actually, I'm gonna handle that stuff by using the actually chain options, and then let me start from here. This one, and I'm gonna keep going like this. And then I'm gonna change the color of and that's entities. And then we can easily send that entities with different level. I can use the right mouse button. We can send that actually maybe 5. And then we can turn to the level section and we can make unselect this part. Oops, sorry about that noise. And we can turn to and front view, and then oops, we can turn to actually automatic options, and then we can select our window and then delete this part. And then we can turn to the top view and we can reactive our boundary. And maybe we should also write here boundary 1. Okay, so we can turn to the chain options and we can select this chain, and then we can use the right mouse button and then we can change our color like this. Okay, it's created right now. And after that, let me turn to the levels options and we can activate our model. So we have that kind of model here, and this is this one as well. Anyway, okay, let me turn to top view. Again, we are working on the 2D and our Z level 10. And then actually we can turn to the wireframe and curve on edge options, and then we can select this boundary again. And then we can easily create that kind of boundary on the Z position 10. We are working on the chain selection, and then I can select this one and delete it. And after that, we need to use actually and contour and transform, and then we can use the chain contour options. We can select this boundary and hit OK button, and then we need to select the my direction. According to my perspective, actually maybe we can use and 16 millimeter tool for roughing, so that's why 10 millimeter offset is enough for us. And we can also hit the move options, and we can use the clear color options. Okay, we are working on the chain and select this boundary. We can use right mouse button and then we can turn to here and we can easily organize it. Okay, this is my pocket boundary. Let me turn to the top view. It's clear. Let me turn to the mill toolpath and pocket operation. And after that, I can select this one and this one. This is my pocket 1. This is my pocket 1 chain 2. After that, we can turn to the tool options. I can use right mouse button and create my tool. While I am creating my tool, actually, according to my perspective, we're gonna use the 16mm end mill. This is tool number 2, and we can organize our feed rate. My feed rate and cutting speed can be like this. After that, let me turn to the linking parameters to organize my the Z area. I can hit the absolute coordinate system. It means that we're gonna focus on the MasterCAM VCS, and the rig rack position absolute 5, and the feed plane absolute 1. This is the last feed rate for use, and the rapid movement G0. After that, we're gonna turn to the G1. And let me click here. This is the top of stock. This is my cutting area. I'm gonna start from the Z position 0 and another absolute position, and then my depth can be organized like this. Okay, 0 to -66 area toolpath, and my toolpath creation can be on this area 0 to -66. After that, let me turn to the actually cut parameters. When we turn to the cut parameters, I can decide that this is the conventional machining. You can also see some explanation here. This is my rotation direction, and this is my movement direction. Okay, and we can prefer to use the standard toolpath. You can also see the open, remachining, facing, and the pocket operation. So, and we're gonna prefer to use the standard pocket milling. And then let me turn to here. This is the stock to leave on the wall. It can be 0.5 millimeter, and stock to leave on the floor, it can be 0.50 millimeter. Let me turn to the roughing process to organize my cutting method. Cutting method is quite important. Most of the time I prefer to use parallel spiral and clean corner options. You can also prefer to use the different one according to your and product geometry. And this is my step over. My step over is also calculated according to my tool diameter. It can be 50% of to my tool diameter. If you prefer to use spiral inside to outside, you can select this one. If you make them unselect, it means that we're gonna focus on and not inside to outside. So it means that we're gonna focus on outside to inside. According to my product, that is the better than and actually inside to outside. So entry motion is also important. You can prefer to some entry position, or you can organize your and entry position. So this is my and I prefer to use the ramp options. And then let me turn to the finish operation. So I don't want to see any finishing operation. So that's why I can make them unselect. So it means that lead in and lead out is not important. Lead in and lead out under the finishing process. So after that, we can turn to the depth cut parameters. And my cutting area, Z position, VCS 0 and -66. So we can turn to the cut parameters and activate this one. And maybe we should write 5 millimeter for maximum row step. And then let me hit OK button and see what we got. So, okay, that's cool. This is our entry position. You can see the green one. That part is also quite important. So we're gonna see that kind of operation. It's cool. So that's also quite important if you intend to see and if you intend to create some actually entry position. For example, we can create this part. For example, we are working on the 2D and Z position 10, and then maybe we should create some and 20 millimeter diameter here. like this one, for example. Okay, so like this one. So according to this geometry, we can use actually divide options, and we can cut this one, and this one. We can also use the some fillet operation to organize some fillet here. Yeah, that's perfect. So if you create that kind of trick here in your geometry, so we can easily enter our and product actually the outside of our material. So that's quite important for us. So because when we use that kind of entry position actually while we are entering and leading our product, actually we cannot break our tool. So I'm gonna turn to geometry. This is my geometry 1 and geometry 2. It's organized automatically. So after that we can turn to the parameters, and then we can turn to the actually roughing process and entry motion. And as you remember that we are preferring to ramp, let me turn to the helix, or we can also stay here as a ramp. And then we can also click here, ramp from entry point. So we can prefer to use the plunge feed rate and plunge rate. When we turn to the tool properties, we're going to see that this is my plunge rate. You can also organize your plunge rate. This is my feed rate, and this is my plunge feed rate actually. It can be like this. Okay. So after that, when we click here, actually this toolpath is gonna ask us for our entry point. So that's why let me turn to the toolpath type and geometry, and then we can use the right mouse button and add new entities. So according to this perspective, I just need to hit the point options, and then we can easily select actually center of that circle, and then two chain and one point is selected. And after that, let me recalculate my toolpath. When we recalculate our toolpath, we're gonna see some entry motion here. Okay, let me turn to the backlog simulation. We can also use step-by-step options. When you use the step-by-step options, you can also see that we are here right now, Z position 10 here, and then let me click here. This is my maximum rough, almost 5 millimeter, and then we are entering at that position, and then we're gonna create our toolpath. Let me use the play button, and then let me turn to the and next button here. Okay, let me use this stuff. Yeah, this one. Okay, we are here right now. This is actually my retract position. My retract position is 5 millimeter, and then we're gonna turn to the new position, and then we can entering our product like this. Okay, we can also make unselect our holder, and then we can turn to the top view, and then you can easily see that we are entering our product outside of our materials like this one. Actually, and let me turn to here. We also need to add this part. Actually, For the adding this part, actually, if you adding as a geometry, actually all the Z position is gonna cut by using that geometry. So that's why I just need to turn to parameters and linking parameters and depth position. My depth position can be on this part. This is the minus 56. And then we're going to see that's kind of toolpath. And under this position, we can turn to the curve on edge options and create new and edges here. Maybe we should also change our color, and that's it. After that, I just need to copy that toolpath and paste it here. I just need to turn to the geometry and adding the new geometry. Oops, sorry. I need the new chain by using the chain options. That is going to be my new chain. And then when we turn to the cut parameters, in the linking parameters, this is going to be my top of stock. And this is going to be my depth position. Okay. So I just need to click OK button, and then that toolpath is going to calculate it like this. Okay. This part is included actually, and that circle, you can see that, but that part there is no any circle and entities. Okay, so that's approach is quite important. Okay, let me delete this point. Actually, it's not necessary. Okay, and after that, I'm gonna create some stock to see what we get and at this point.